Hello, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Justin Perkins. This is Talk Junkie, and you can call me Mr. McFeely because I've got a speedy delivery. Today is mailbag day. Don't have a ton, but I had a lot of good stuff come in. I thought, hey, we'll take a look at it. First off, Michael. Really good idea putting your name in the email because it's a completely different name on the email address. I don't know what the deal is there. I thought, by the way the question was worded, first question was worded, which I'm not going to answer. I'm not answering that on the podcast. But I thought the way the first question was asked that I knew who this was, but then I look at the name on the email and I'm not sure if I do, but email me back and let me know, did you just start listening to this or do I know you? Is it who I think it is? But young Michael asked a completely inappropriate question first. Excuse me, I got that wrong. But then after that, he asked a fairly important question. How effective is the beep from the you can't say that on a podcast? Will it catch everything? As far as I know, it works f***ing great. I mean, I haven't had thing get by yet. So, I mean, the seems to be working pretty good. On another note, someone that I feel is completely and totally made up, and I think maybe I may know who made this up, but a gentleman by the name of Hux Boner, and I feel like I have to know where that's from. When you're going to do some more wrestling content, well, you phrased that exactly right. I mostly talk about wrestling here with the two S's. Wrestling is occasional. The McMahons in later years done more wrestling, and I will touch on that from time to time, but mostly Mid-South, NWA, WCW, early WWF is wrestling, and I kind of like wrestling. In my opinion, Ric Flair is the greatest wrestler and wrestler of all time. So, yeah, I do tend to shift a little more towards the wrestling, but if that helps Hux Boner, I hope that it helps. Also, I'd like to fix some things that I did wrong. Good friend Richard pointed out that I did not mention the Renegade in the USA Network podcast, a show I did very much watch and that I knew was on there, and it was on my list, but he's right, I did leave it out. So, yeah, I goofed. But it definitely was a show worth mentioning. It's something I should have thought about. I don't know what the I was thinking, but it happens. Somebody asked, and this is a weird question because I'm assuming they listened to the entire USA Network podcast because they said they loved it, but they said, gotta know, man. I won't say your name to let you save face, because if you did listen, this is going to sound like a dumb question. Gotta know, man. The theme song that you played in the USA Network podcast sounded familiar. Where was it from? I assume you have to be talking about that one, and I made mention of it a couple times. That's from Silk Stockings, a show that came on the USA Network. Memory's not great, but I want to say Monday nights after Raw it was on. I mean, it was on other times, but I want to say that maybe that was its main time. Could have been Sunday, but I want to say it was Monday nights after Raw. That person also went on to ask, do I have plans for more television content? Yes, definitely there will be. I think two things I really would like to delve into in the future, and I'm going to say these ahead of time because if there's any questions about them, I'd like to get them before I do the episode. I really want to look at The X-Files as a complete series, and I would like to look at, let me think. I guess if I'm going to do Twin Peaks, it just as an entirety, movies, television, and all. So I would like to look at Twin Peaks, and I would just look at it as an entire entity, everything, movies and everything. But I would like to do those. Also, I mean, Nickelodeon from when I was younger, definitely Nick at Night and TV Land, things of that nature, and definitely MTV. So I think probably do one pretty soon on those. But what I'll more than likely do with those is put MTV, Nickelodeon, and Nick at Night together in kind of one thing. I know they're very different, you know, obviously on different ends of the spectrum, but don't know, you know, it's just filling out process. I don't plan these out ahead of time. You know, I may do research on them. I do, like even with the USA Network, I did a lot of research because I wanted to be sure what was actually on the channel at that time. But I don't plan them ahead. And sometimes when I sit down to do these, I think, well, this one's going to be really long or this one's going to be really short, and I'm almost never correct. It's one of the few things in life I almost never come up short on. I usually go long on that one, and that's something I hardly ever do. But definitely look for those. That gave the name away. Definitely look for those. Person who wrote in the question wanting to know the Silk Stockings theme and about the TV. Take that down, and that's definitely going to be coming up pretty soon. And again, if I mentioned Richard, thanks for pointing out the Renegade one. I did forget about that. Hold on one second. I had to cough. That's what the cough button's for. I just forget to use it occasionally. I don't remember if it was Stephen or Stephanie. Where do I think my coronavirus podcast stack up? As ill-informed as the people I got my information from, sometimes good. I don't know. Like there are some statements that have clearly I would have to say I've changed my mind on. There's a lot of things on that. My advice would be, if you go back and listen to those, or if you have listened to them, listen to them for what they are. They're op-ed opinion pieces. Other than the one when I sat down and gave you factual information with references, that, you know, that was the information I was given. Most of that information still holds up. So, you know, I need to do another one. I just don't really want to. It's a bummer. Like it just kind of sucks, and I don't really want to do it. Like, I mean, it needs to be talked about, and a lot of people much wiser than myself, much better informed, are talking about it. And I've done a lot on it. So, you know, definitely things that involving the quarantine and things that have impacted, I'll definitely be doing those. I've got one already recorded. Just don't know which one to release first, this or that. But no, just it specifically, I do think I need to do one, but it'll probably, I say, into May sometime, maybe 1st of May, and kind of see where we're at. I'll say this, things seem odder to me now than they did when it started. If you've listened to conspiracy theory shows, I'm not much of a conspiracy theorist, but I don't know. There's a lot of things about this one don't add up. How I don't know. But anyway, we'll talk about that if we ever get to that. The next one's my favorite. You put this as being from your mom, but it has your email address on it. So, you're not my mother. I do know who you are. You may be someone's father, but you're not my mother. So you're going to have to work on your email addresses if you're going to try to sneak one by me. So I'm not going to say who it's from. We're just going to say it's from your mom. But when speaking about I forget how he phrased it. I should have looked at that. Anyway, basically, he said I didn't mention Bigfoot with my ghost and whatnot. I think at the beginning of the second podcast on that stuff, I mentioned that is an honorable mention. And the reason he says that, because he knows at one point in time I was very much obsessed with Bigfoot, or at least with the existence of Bigfoot. I kind of got out of that. It's a lack of proof thing. I definitely believe there was a hominid or something of some sort, that's definitely been existent at some point. I can't remember what the large ape was they found. But anyway, we found some missing, even though they've been ape and chimp. We had the really large chimp, and it seemed like they had some really large apes that they found, within the last 100 years. But those are a completely different thing than Bigfoot. If you look at Native American folklore and totem pole art and stuff in the Northwest, and then you compare that to the Yeti and things of that nature in China, and we look at the crossing of native peoples from China across the Bering Strait into what is the Inuit population in Alaska, down into the Native American population of North America, further down into South American Aztec and Mexica and Pueblo peoples of that time. We know that there's a lineage there, and they came that way, and it would be very possible that those creatures that I do very much believe exist came that way as well. And I think it's just a case of legend and folklore living on long after the creature is gone. So I definitely believe it was very real at one point in time. There's technically no reason to believe it wasn't real at one point in time. I just don't believe that it is now. The second part of your mom's question was, did Les Stroud switching over and basically dedicating himself to the pursuit of Bigfoot, did that change your mind? The reason in asking that question is this individual knows me, and he knows that I despise most of these people that do these outdoor shows because they're fake. But Les Stroud was very real, and I have a lot of respect for Les Stroud and how he did things when he was out there. But no, his belief in it does not impact me whatsoever. He has no video footage, no camera. Look, I've had the debate over ghosts for years. You can't catch them on film because they're on a different plane, whatever. I've got to have proof. You can't catch aliens on film because they know you're taking pictures because they're far advanced. Okay, it's Bigfoot. It's a big ape. Everyone has a phone. Sightings have went up, but video proof has stayed the same other than the Patterson film, which to me seems to be clearly faked. So, there you go. I think, to me, that just speaks for itself. Bring me a picture of Bigfoot, not a blurry picture. Bring me anything, any type of physical proof of any of those things that are not real, and I will change my mind on it. And your mom had a third part. Again, you're dealing with an individual that knows me, unfortunately, too well. Since when have I changed my mind on the Kennedy assassination? Probably early 20s. I forget the book I read, and I was just like, nah. And then they've had shooters make the shot since then. Not really with that much trouble. If I'm not mistaken, there was the information about Oswald being a marksman. I'm not saying that he necessarily had to be alone. I'm not saying that at all. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that I don't believe that the United States government is above taking out leaders. That's how we lost a democracy in Iran and ended up with the hold on a minute. We ended up with the show we have right now due to our meddling in politics and what did Hillary say? I can't even remember what she said about Gaddafi, but she basically come right out and said we took out Gaddafi. We do that. That's what we do, and it almost always backfires on us. And I'm not saying they wouldn't take out one of their own. The guy they got sitting in there right now, though, is proof that they're a little bit afraid to take one out. Because if they were taking one out, both parties would chip in on the bounty on this guy. So, I just don't happen to believe that the United States government was involved. Now, having said that, I do believe that if anyone was involved, I don't believe it was Castro and the Cubans and the communists. I don't believe so. I think there was a mutual benefit to some degree between Russia and us, and Castro just, I don't think, had that kind of stroke. I do, however, believe that one group that would have benefited the most, had the most reason, and been the most likely to commit the act was the mafia, and I do believe that they were involved. I definitely believe they were involved with Jack Ruby, and Oswald could have even been completely innocent. I don't know. I don't believe so. I don't think the mafia would have went that far to set him up. I believe the mafia hired him. They had some help, but I do believe that that's a possibility. It actually pains me to say this a little bit because I have a friend who really, really likes Kennedy, and I have a very deep respect for her and her mother, who also, Kennedy is their guy, and so it hurts me to say this, but it's what I believe, and to me it's what the facts show. Kennedy was very corrupt, and prior to his war on the mob families, it seems to be fairly provable that he had a lot of dealings with, or at least his family was very deeply entrenched with the mafia families, and so it makes the most sense to me. Usually, you look at cops. When one cop's shot and the other cops can't solve it, it's usually because the cop's dirty, and some people feel that this has been completely solved, that, despite the problems with the Warren Commission and all these things, that's been completely, but this is not going to become a John Fitzgerald Kennedy assassination podcast. I know what you were trying to do there, your mom, and you almost did it. I got two more things I want to touch on real quick. They come from, well, I'll say this, and I won't say where this one come from. Did I think it was racist when Trump said China virus? China virus. No, I thought it was hilarious, completely hilarious. And I think I keep getting these questions because people believe I like Trump. I don't understand that. I don't like any president. I don't understand that. I'm not willing to say things that I don't believe. Like, ask me, do I think that Trump's an intelligent person? No, I do not. Not in any way, shape, or form. Ask me if I think that Trump is really leading the country right now. No, not at all. No way. Pence got in there for that sole purpose. Pence could possibly be the Antichrist. I'd have to check and see if Cheney's still living. If Cheney's not still living, it's a good chance Pence is the Antichrist. Did I vote for Trump? No. Will I vote for Trump next time? No. I will vote probably write-in or libertarian, dependent. I don't vote for Republicans and Democrats. They're all crooked and on the same side. Do I think there's any difference whatsoever in Trump and Obama, or Trump and Bush, or Trump and Reagan, or Trump and Clinton? I do think Clinton's worse than all those, but no, I do not. But I don't think that what he said is racist. For one, I don't think that he's racist. I think his track record with the NAACP, charities he's been involved with, things of that nature, just doesn't say that he's racist. I think he's a moron. I think he's a horrible person. I think he looks like a Cheeto. I can name all these things I think, but I can't lie to you. I don't really feel that way, so there's no point in me trying to jump on a bandwagon or something when I don't feel it. I believe he said China One, because that's hilarious, and I believe he may be the great. Now, I will say this. There's a possibility he's the greatest stand-up comedian of all time and possibly the greatest comedic mind of all time. He could be like Borat on the 100th level. And if that's the case, then yes, I am a Trump fan. But I don't believe that that's the case. Now, I wish that it was, but I don't believe that it is. I believe that when he said that, it was to direct, just kind of be childish and throw rocks at China, because China was throwing rocks at him. China as a country, this is not as a people or a race, because that's the thing. China's not a race. Chinese is a race. China is not a race, but Chinese is technically an Asian, is of Asian descent. I don't even know if Chinese would be considered a race, but I know China is a country. An evil, horrible country. A country that used to hold their families to one-child families, and if you had two, whatever cost, the second child was eradicated, sometimes other members of the family. This is a ruthless, heartless, terrible communist regime. A regime that before this virus hit, the China virus hit, I think Kung Flu may be better, though, completely honest. But besides that, before it hit, they were abusing protesters in the streets of Hong Kong. So cut them no slack. I don't care what anybody says about them, even the Cheeto. But it was meant for that reason, as a degrading remark towards that country. Now, if ignorant racists take it another way, they were going to take it another way anyway. That's what they were going to do. Let me let you in on something. May shock some people. They didn't like Chinese people to begin with. But I should have wrote this down. It will not be hard to find. You can Google it very easily. Well, the few reputable news sources there are out there actually had reported at one point in time that all of the supposed violence against Chinese Americans that's being reported, there were three issues with it. One, a lot of the numbers weren't adding up to current statistics. They looked like much older statistics. Two, if you look at the percentage rate, that's how many acts of violence were done against Asian Americans, some of which, a good majority of which was done by Asian Americans in highly densely populated Chinese areas, that percentage hasn't increased since that was said. So it's the media doing a lot of what they do, and that's going to lead into my next thing. But that's the media doing a lot of what they're going to do, and it's him saying something stupid. If you go back and listen to the reporter asked one of the people from Trump's cabinet or from the White House, I don't remember what it was, because I don't remember who this guy was, but it was, I heard somebody said Kung Flu, and the guy's like, what? He's like, I heard somebody say Kung Flu, and they called it Kung Flu, somebody on your staff, and the guy just basically wouldn't address it because it's an ignorant statement. Then he goes for the woman that's always defending Trump, whose husband despises Trump. She works for Trump and is his greatest protector. Her husband is probably Trump's greatest attacker, and it's a beautiful thing. I like that dichotomy. She is a witch of a woman. Just in appearance, I can't say that she's not a great person, but she does not look like one. She kind of looks like a female version of him, just not orange. And I don't really like the male version of him, so I don't know. But they asked her the same thing. We heard someone on your staff said Kung Flu, which is a tremendous name for this. The best name. It's tremendous. Why he's not jumped on that yet, I don't know. But, she has children that are half Asian. And she's like, are you serious? Like, there's nothing to substantiate that. Like, in a court of law, you couldn't come up and go, hey, so-and-so somebody told me, I ain't saying no names, that you said this. No, because that's not how it works. That's not how it's supposed to work anywhere else either. Tell me who said Kung Flu. Because if it was you deserve an award, because that's a great name. So, no, I don't think it was racist. And, look, in fairness, I've been asked to come on a very good program with very intelligent people who feel the exact opposite of me, and people who know me. I love to debate and things like that, but I only like to debate if I can see there being some measurable outcome, and I just don't on that. I'm sorry. I'm not falling for that. Like I said, tell me he's the worst president we've ever had. Okay, if you're not going to count Clinton or the last 4 years of Reagan or Johnson, if you're going to do that, then okay, we can do that. Like, there's a lot of things I'll agree with. He shouldn't be president. He's childish. He's not very intelligent. He looks like a Cheeto. I'll agree with all those things. But just because he said China, No, I don't believe that makes him racist. And I don't think it had any racist intent. One thing, I don't know that he's that intelligent to have that kind of intent. Now, to the last question that I was asked, it kind of ties into that. A gentleman by the name of Brandon asked, what do I think's worse is in regards to the coronavirus? The media being misleading and facetious and just lying, that's what they do. Or the president lying. We're adults. If we don't already know to not trust the media, that's our fault. I mean, I don't, like, okay, well before Trump ever got in office, the media was full of crap. Just because somebody you don't like started saying the media is full of crap doesn't mean they're honest again. It just doesn't. And it's not even as much that they're full of crap. I mean, that is kind of misleading to say that it's fake news. It's not. It's a 24-hour cycle. They're only covering the negative things. There's many, many more positive things happening than negative. So you only get in 30 minutes to an hour, maybe 2 hours of actual news reporting. That is, these are the facts. This is what actually happened, blah, blah, blah. And I feel that most of the news organizations, if not all, are generally pretty accurate on that. The problem is that's a very small slice of what they do. That leaves you with 22 to 23 hours of opinion left, and that's where it gets the problem. The large groups of pundits getting together and the panels of people having discussions based on opinion, and a lot of those times those opinions get presented as facts. Sometimes they're not even presented as facts. Sometimes people are just too stupid and they take them as facts when they're actually just opinion. And most of those opinions, I would say by most, I mean 99.9% of those opinions are politically driven, and so therefore they are inaccurate and false. So that's what the news is. We're big people. You can either follow the news like sheep, or you can have enough intelligence to know that the news isn't really what you should, be selective about what you take in. And just look at it with, some bit of fact-checking, but when a president lies, now, if a president chooses because of national security to not talk about something, not address something, okay, that's one thing. But when a president outright lies, that far outweighs anything the media can do wrong. The media is a large collective business that's there to make money, and they can be as dishonest as they want in that pursuit. It's your fault if you follow it. The president, on the other hand, to some degree, is supposed to be a leader and a representative of the people, and he is supposed to work for us, and he owes us that honesty. I don't expect that honesty. Clinton did nothing but lie from the time he got in. Do y'all remember Iraq? Do you remember the weapons of mass destruction? Now, something happened there. Either Bush lied, or Cheney lied to Bush, which is probably the most likely of the two, or everybody lied and they just wanted to go into Iraq, a country that had nothing to do with 9/11. But, hey, we got to start a war. Presidents lie. That's what they do. It should never become excusable. Just because it happens over and over and over again, you should still point out the lie as if every president before him told the truth. I don't know what the lie in specific is he's talking about, because I'm going to tell you something. I don't listen to Trump's speeches. I don't listen to his State of the Unions. I don't listen to his propaganda. Just like it is with any other president, I don't listen to it. So I don't know. I know he didn't take this very seriously at first, but I don't think a lot of people did. I know I got some bad information at first. I know he is much more worried about the economy than he is about the virus, but he's much more worried about, I think at one point he was much more worried about re-election than he was anything, but he's running against Biden. Biden doesn't even know where he is. He may not even make it to the... So you guys successfully give Big Orange another presidency, so I guess good on you. I mean, I don't know. There's still time to write in a Libertarian. You could write in Tulsi Gabbard. She's a Democrat if you want to vote Democrat. You could write in a lot of people. You could force the option of a third party. I mean, it is what it is. But, yes, I believe it's much worse for a president to lie than for the media to be dishonest, because They're the media. They're a private organization. They're a private business. I don't like that they're protected by freedom of the press, but not held to any standard. But you also don't want a government controlling what a media can say, because then you've still just got fake news. It's just government-run news like they have in North Korea or somewhere like that. So just watch what you read. Be smart about what you intake. And when you're wrong, be willing to admit you're wrong. I'm willing to admit I'm wrong. I'm wrong 99.9% of the time. Probably wrong about most of the stuff I heard in here. If I didn't get to something you sent in, I can't think of anything else off the top of my head. I'm now driving, so I can't look at my paper because I'm on a hands-free set and being a good citizen and don't want to do that. I really, really want to thank you all for listening. It's awesome, and it was awesome to get letters after I asked for letters, and keep sending them. I will reply to them. It's authorjperk at gmail.com, or you can go to the YouTube. I don't know if you can do anything on iTunes as far as sending me a letter. I don't think so. But, I mean, there you go. Do what you can do. I love you people. Red Spotted Newt in Hazard, Kentucky, greatest bookstore in the world. The only place you can find my books in the wild. They are on Facebook, and you can order from them. I just recently ordered a sweet Pink Floyd guitar tab book. She can get almost anything. They're great people. Truly amazing business. Just bought something online from Roundabout Music in Whitesburg, Kentucky. They are a great local music store. You can buy offline on them. They're also on Facebook. Check out Randomness Captured Live on iTunes. It's different. It was recorded before the Great Plague, and its transmission sent out for those of us who survive it. It's kind of a future podcast that you can listen to in the present. It's a beautiful design. It is very different from anything else you've listened to. Also, check out Relics of the Past, especially if you're into old-time radio, just older entertainment in general, and some great conversations on some of their other ones. They've recently done some read-along books, and there's some British versions of some read-along books, Rambo, and just some great books. The best books, some of the greatest books. I'm sorry, I've got in that Trump mode of speaking, but check those out. Send me all the later stuff, like, subscribe, share, do all that stuff. Main thing is, don't suck, be good to people, and don't die.